Most men believe texting more shows interest. They think fast replies, long messages, and constant check-ins prove they care. But what if it's doing the opposite? What if it's slowly draining attraction without you realizing it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Attraction doesn't respond to volume. It responds to emotional stability. When you text too often, especially without a clear reason, it stops feeling like interest and starts feeling like pressure. Not because women are cold or calculating, but because human psychology reads constant availability as a lack of self-control. Most US women won't say this directly. They won't confront you about it. They'll just feel it. They notice when a man texts to calm his nerves instead of to communicate something meaningful. They sense when silence makes him uneasy, and subconsciously, that shifts how they see him, from grounded to reactive. You send a message and put your phone down, telling yourself you'll wait. A few minutes go by. No reply. You check the screen again, not consciously, just out of habit. Still nothing. Your mind starts filling the gap. Maybe she's losing interest. Maybe you said the wrong thing. Maybe you should clarify, add something, keep the conversation alive. So you send another text. Not because you have something important to say, but because the silence feels heavier than it should. This is where most men lose control without realizing it. The second message isn't about communication anymore. It's about easing discomfort. It's about restoring certainty. And psychologically, that shift matters. From her side, the experience is different. She doesn't see effort. She feels pressure. Not aggressive pressure, but subtle emotional weight. The sense that you're waiting. That her response is being monitored. That silence is not neutral to you. And human behavior reacts to that instinctively. When someone acts because they're uncomfortable being alone with their thoughts, it signals emotional instability, even if everything they say is polite and friendly. Attraction depends on emotional steadiness. Overtexting quietly signals the opposite. Stoicism warned about this long before smartphones existed. When your actions are driven by impulses instead of choice, you stop leading your behavior. You start reacting to it. And every reaction gives away a little more control. The power isn't lost in one message. It's lost in the pattern. Each time you act to escape discomfort, you train yourself to depend on external responses for internal calm. And the person on the other end can feel that shift, even if they can't explain it. That's why what feels harmless to you can slowly change how you're perceived. Effort doesn't disappear attraction. Emotional dependency does. And silence is usually the moment that reveals which one is in control. Most US women don't see overtexting as care. They don't experience it emotionally the way men often intend it. They read it psychologically. Not in a harsh or judgmental way, but instinctively. Human behavior constantly scans for emotional cues. When someone communicates too often, too quickly, or without clear purpose, the message underneath the words becomes louder than the words themselves. And here's what overtexting communicates, without saying anything. First, emotional dependency. When a man texts repeatedly, especially after no response, it signals that his emotional state is tied to her reaction. That his calm depends on getting something back. Psychology consistently shows that emotional dependence lowers perceived confidence and stability. Not because dependence is immoral, but because it suggests a lack of internal regulation. Attraction is strongly linked to emotional self-sufficiency. When your mood rises and falls based on replies, that self-sufficiency disappears. Even if the messages are kind, funny, or thoughtful, the pattern behind them signals need rather than choice. Epictetus understood this centuries ago when he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In modern terms, if you can't sit comfortably with uncertainty, you're not acting, you're reacting. And reaction erodes respect over time. Second, lack of purpose. Constant messaging suggests you have too much unstructured mental space. It implies that your attention is waiting to be filled rather than intentionally directed. This doesn't mean being busy all the time. It means having priorities that don't collapse the moment someone goes silent. Psychologically, attraction grows when a person feels grounded in their own life. Purpose creates gravity. It communicates that your time matters, even to you. When texting becomes frequent without substance, it signals that nothing else is currently demanding your focus. That signal doesn't inspire curiosity. It creates familiarity too quickly. Third, loss of mystery. Over-texting removes tension. It explains everything. It fills every gap. And when there's no space left for imagination, interest fades faster. Attraction thrives in what's not immediately available. Mystery doesn't mean playing games. It means allowing space for discovery. When every thought is sent the moment it appears, nothing is left to unfold naturally. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Texting is a perfect example of this principle. You can't control how or when someone responds, but you can control whether you act from calm intention or emotional impulse. Over-texting isn't a communication problem. It's a self-regulation problem. And once you see that, the question becomes simple, but uncomfortable. Ask yourself honestly, do I text to genuinely connect? Or do I text to calm my anxiety? The answer tells you who's in control. Here's what actually changes when you apply Stoic discipline, not in theory, but in real life. The first shift is internal. You stop reacting to silence as if it's a threat. When your phone doesn't light up, your mood doesn't dip. You don't rush to fill the gap. You don't feel the urge to fix something that isn't broken. Silence stops feeling personal, and that alone restores a sense of control most men don't realize they've lost. You also stop over-explaining yourself. You don't send follow-up texts to clarify tone. You don't justify why you said something. You don't chase reassurance. Your communication becomes cleaner, calmer, and more deliberate. You say what you mean, and you let it stand on its own. That shift changes how you move. Instead of emotional urgency, there's calm certainty. You respond when it makes sense, not when anxiety demands it. You're no longer trying to manage how you're perceived in real time. You trust that your presence doesn't need constant reinforcement. And women feel this change immediately. Not because you suddenly became distant or cold. Not because you're playing games or withholding on purpose. They feel it because your emotional energy is no longer leaning forward. You're grounded. You're centered. You're not seeking permission to relax. It's not that you say less. It's that you need less. Neediness creates tension. Self-command creates ease. That ease is what people respond to. This is why Stoic discipline isn't about texting rules, it's about internal regulation. The phone is just where the pattern shows up. So here are the rules, clearly and practically. Never text from anxiety. If the urge to text comes from discomfort, pause. That message is not communication, it's self-soothing. Handle the emotion first. Text later, or not at all. Respond with intention, not speed. Fast replies don't equal confidence. Thoughtful timing does. When you respond from calm, your words land differently. They carry weight instead of urgency. Build a life that doesn't seek validation. Purpose removes desperation. When your day is full, mentally, physically, emotionally, you don't need constant external confirmation. You're already anchored. Let silence work in your favor. Silence creates space. Space creates curiosity. Curiosity keeps interest alive. You don't have to force momentum when calm presence does the work for you. This is what emotional mastery looks like in practice. Not detachment, not coldness, but control. Quiet confidence isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's felt. This is Stoic control, choosing your actions instead of being dragged by impulses. If you want daily lessons on attraction psychology, emotional discipline, and the Stoic mindset that helps you stay calm, grounded, and self-directed, subscribe to Daily Stoic Mindset. If this brought clarity, like the video, it helps this message reach men who need it. And comment control if you're choosing discipline over impulse. Because a Stoic doesn't chase attention. He governs himself first. And when that happens, attraction is no longer something he tries to earn. It becomes a natural response to who he is.